Sometimes some people think that if you enter the state of jhana, you are wasting your time. This is very far from the truth. Suppose now, I ask you, suppose if a person were to enter a state of nibbana, now when he's still alive, if he can spend his time in the state of nibbana, is that a waste of time?
No.
Because that is the goal of the holy life. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. And actually a person can spend his time in the state of jhana, in the state of nibbana. And what is this state of nibbana that a person can spend his time in? It is a state called Nirodha Samapatti. Have you all heard?
Yes.
What is Nirodha Samapatti? This state is defined as cessation of perception and feeling, right? Or sometimes in short, just cessation. Mm-hmm. So when there is perception, cessation of perception and feeling, it also means that there is cessation of consciousness. And this consciousness refers to the 6 consciousnesses. The seeing consciousness, the hearing, the smelling, taste, touch, and thinking consciousness. So when these 6 consciousness stops, the world stops. Right? There is, as far as that person who enters that state is concerned, there is no world. That is a state of nibbana. Yeah? And that is a state where sometimes arahants enter, like the Buddha. They enter this, for example, immediately after the Buddha was enlightened, he spent 49
days.
Actually more than 49 days. But can say 49 days. The first 7 days, he would just go into this state and just experience it, enjoy it. Because it is the most blissful state you can experience. The Buddha says, Nibbana Paramang Sukham. Nibbana is the highest bliss. And then some people ask him, how come? In Nibbana there is no perception, there is no feeling, there is no consciousness. How come it's the highest bliss? The Buddha said, yes. Even though there is no feeling, there is no consciousness, still it is the highest bliss. How can we understand this? To give us an idea how Nibbana is the greatest bliss, we compare it to sleeping. When we go to sleep at night, there are 2 types of sleep. Much of the night is spent in a dreaming state. So the first type of sleep is when you fall asleep and you have a lot of dreams. And scientists say this is necessary because when we dream, we break down all the compounds, all the dirt in our brain. We clean our brain when we dream. So this dream state is not a very blissful state because when you are dreaming, sometimes it can be unpleasant dreams, sometimes it can be frightening dreams, and exciting dreams and all that. So because you are dreaming, it's not a very restful sleep. However, there is another type of sleep which is a very deep state of sleep. And in this very deep state of sleep, there is no dreaming. it is so deep that you are not aware of anything. You are not even aware that you exist. It's precisely because you are not aware that you exist that it is so blissful. When that I arises, that me arises, dukkha arises. So in that deep sleep state, it's so blissful, and you are not aware. Suppose now you are in that deep sleep state and somebody calls you. You are not even aware. Somebody calls you. He has to shake you hard, then you can get up. So it is because of this very deep sleep state that sleep is very enjoyable. So when we get up in the morning, some say like your mother or your husband or your wife wakes you up, time to go to work. And you wake up, then you want to fall asleep again, because it's so enjoyable, you want to go back to sleep. Not because of that sleep state, because of the deep sleep state. So this deep sleep state, where you are not aware of anything, you are not even aware of yourself, that can be likened to Nibbana. Only thing Nibbana is much more deep. So that is why the Buddha said, Nibbanang Paramang Sukham. So Arahants and Anagamins, only these two classes of people can attain this state of Nirodha Samapatti, and they abide in this state for a maximum of 7 days. And when they are in this state, not only has the body stopped, even the heart also has stopped beating, and then the breathing has stopped, and the consciousness has stopped. So, if you see a person in this state, you might think that he is dead. But there's one difference between this person and a dead person. And what is that? If you touch this person, you feel his body is still warm. Whereas if a person is dead, his body will turn cold. And this state is a very, very special state. It is mentioned in the suttas that one of the disciples of a previous Buddha, he entered this state deep in the forest. Then these people who went into the forest to find firewood and graze their cows and all that, they saw this monk in this state of Nirodha Samapatti in the forest. And he was not moving, so they came up to him, called him, also no response. So they felt his breath, no breath. Then they touched his heart, no heartbeat. So they assumed that he was dead. So they collected a lot of wood, dead wood, and they piled it on top of him and set it on fire. They thought, give him a good send-off. So they went back to their village. The next morning, they saw this monk coming for alms round Pindapata. And they got a shock, they thought the ghost came. And then later, talking with him, they found that fire cannot harm a person in that state of Nirodha Samapatti. Nothing can harm him. So it's a very, very special state. And very, very few people can attain that state. So Arahants who can attain that state, they like to abide in that state. That is Nibbana here and now. Now there are other states which are slightly less than this, but in the nature of this state of Nirodha Samapatti, and these are called Jhanas. The 4 Rupa Jhanas and the 4 Arupa Jhanas. When a person attains these Jhana states, he goes into a deep state and leaves the world behind him. Because this world is the world of the six senses. If we ask ourselves, how do we know that the world exists? We must come to that conclusion that we only know that the world exists because we can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste, we can touch. And these five senses tell us there is an outer world. And the thoughts makes us realize that there is an inner world also. Yeah? But actually, in the Buddha's teachings, these six senses are all external. Not only the five external senses, even the six. Because when we meditate and we go deep into our mind, as we practice samatha meditation, we practice, concentrating on the breath. We keep putting our attention on the breath. And slowly as we are able to do this, we go deeper and deeper into our mind. And it's not easy to go into our mind, The mind is a little similar to the ocean. If you try to go deep into the ocean, what happens? Firstly, you run out of breath. Then suppose you send something which doesn't have to breathe, a submarine. You send a submarine into the ocean. If it's not strong enough, when it goes deeper, it gets crushed, completely crushed. So the ocean is so strong. And also, the ocean doesn't like you to go inside the ocean. For example, you pull a ping pong ball, you pull it into the water, and then you release it, the water will push the ping pong ball out. Yeah? So in the same way also, when a person dies in the ocean also will push it up to the surface. So, in the ocean, we only use the surface of the ocean. We swim on the ocean, the ships ply on the ocean, and we are only on the surface of the ocean. So we don't realize how powerful the ocean is down there. In the same way, we only use the surface of our mind. Our thinking mind, our everyday mind, it's only on the surface of the mind. But when we meditate and we stop noticing the sights, the sounds, the smells, the taste, the touch and the thoughts, then we just concentrate on one object. Keep on concentrating on one object. Then you are going back to your original home. You're going back into the mind. Deeper and deeper and deeper into the mind. And as we go deeper into the mind, you will begin to realize how powerful the mind is. You begin to feel the strength of the mind. There is nothing more strong than the mind. Because if you go into the mind, then the whole world is inside your mind. And when you begin to go inside your mind slowly, you are not only aware, you're not only cut off all awareness of the outside world. Slowly, you cut off even awareness of your own body. So your thoughts will stop. So the world of the six senses, slowly, you withdraw from the world of the six senses and you go deeper, deeper, deeper into your real self, the real mind. So then you attain the various levels of samadhi, the first jhana. In the first jhana, there is still a little bit of, you could say, thinking. But the Buddha says it is only skillful thinking. You don't have unskillful thoughts. Meaning that you don't think everyday things like thinking about your work or your house or your duties and all that. You don't think of those things. But you might think, I have attained this state, it's so pleasant. I must remember to retrace my steps. I must remember how I attained this state so that I can repeat it. But when you go deeper, when you go into the second jhana, the mind becomes so strong and unshakable that even the thoughts also cannot arise. And then you feel piti and sukha. And this piti and sukha is deep. It's deep. But it is subtle. Not like later books they say, it's so strong and all that. It's a subtle feeling. That's what the Buddha said in the suttas. So, when a person enters these states of jhana, these steps of jhana are actually halfway stations to nibbana. If you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, it ends up in that nirodha samapatti, a state of cessation. So, just now I said that if you were given the choice whether you can experience nibbana here and now, you definitely would want to. So in the same way, these halfway stations to nibbana, if you can experience them, you'll also want to experience them. So those arahants who have become liberated, they have a lot of time. They're waiting for the day to pass away. So every day, they spend their time in either the various stages of jhana or in nirodha samapatti. If you look into the Samyutta Nikaya, like on Sariputta, you find sometimes one whole day he spends in the first jhana, another day he spends in the second jhana, another day he spends in the third jhana, fourth jhana, then arupa jhanas. So there was one day when he and the Arahant Moggallana, both of them were in the forest. And monks during the Buddha's time, during the day they go Pindapata, they get their food, they come back, they eat, and then the rest of their day they meditate. And then when the sun goes down, they will come together and discuss the Dhamma. So Venerable Moggallana and Sariputta came together, and Venerable Moggallana asked Venerable Sariputta how he spent his day, and he said he spent his day abiding in, the first or the second or the third jhana. And Venerable Sariputta asked Venerable Moggallana in return, and how about you? How did you spend your day? And then he said, today I did not abide in jhana. I spent the day in the world of the six senses. Then Venerable Sariputta asked him, how did you spend the day in the world of the six senses? Then he said, he spent the day discussing Dhamma with the Buddha. Then Venerable Sariputta said, but we are here so far from the Bhagavan. How did you manage to talk to the Bhagavan? Did you go to the Bhagavan or did the Bhagavan come to you? And then he said, I did not go to the Lord and He did not come to me. But just as our Lord can see me from far with His psychic power, so I can also see Him from far with my psychic power. Just as He can hear me with His psychic hearing, I also can hear Him with my psychic hearing. So in this way, we converse with each other. Then our Venerable Sariputta praised our Venerable Moggallana for having such great psychic power. He said, myself, even a mud sprite, spirit in the mud, that's why I cannot see. But Venerable Sariputta, even though he has no psychic power, he has all the jhanas and nirodha samapatti. Only thing is he did not cultivate the psychic power. So some people think that if you have jhana, you must have psychic power. No. So you see, these arahants, if they know that the world of the six senses is the world of dukkha, so they don't want to abide in the world of dukkha, so they abide in jhana every day or in Nirodha Samapatti. So it's not a waste of time like some people think. In fact, in the sutta, the Buddha said there are two types of pleasures. One is worldly pleasures. That the Buddha says he does not encourage his disciples to enjoy. Why? Because it ends in dukkha. As Hokkien say, Thao ti boi ko. The beginning is sweet, the end is bitter. But the spiritual path is the opposite. Thao ko boi ti. If we practice the spiritual path, the beginning is very hard, a lot of hardship, a lot of dukkha, but the end is very sweet.